debates aside, there's still been quite a bit of a liberal media meltdown that we've seen. The View, of course, can always be promised to have a good reaction. Let's take a listen.
Welcome back. You know, the thing that bothers me about this, and I know it's probably the right decision, but I don't like that we've normalized this man.
Yeah.
It has really irritated the poo out of me.
Yeah.
That we have normalized him and his bad behavior. I get that the law says, listen, it would be really rough and it should be the Congress that makes these decisions. And yet that's not how we've been acting. We keep saying states' laws, we keep giving people the right to make these changes, and then they make a change and they say, well, we don't want this, and everybody says, well, no, of course we shouldn't want this. But the problem is, why have we normalized it?
Look, if Joe Biden had one count against him, not 91, he could not be the Democratic presidential candidate. If Joe Biden had committed sexual assault and we had heard him, he could not be running for president. If Joe Biden had been found liable for sexual assault to the tune of $83 million, he could not be running for president. If Joe Biden had been found liable for $500,000 for fraud, he could not be the Democratic candidate for president.
You can't. You can always count on these ladies. Crystal and I were talking while that clip was playing, and we're like, do we know what is Whoopi trying to say?
I don't really totally understand the point she's making there.
Totally indecipherable to me. I do love her outfit, though. It's very like California vineyard energy.
Yeah.
That irritates the poo out of me. It's just too good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It is funny to me to see the way that these ladies react. And there was also, Crystal, I don't know if you saw this, there should genuinely be a little bit of a scandal happening from a legal perspective. The number of people who are quote unquote respected legal scholars who predicted 9-0 in the opposite direction, or who said that the case was very good, people like David French or some of the guys in the Atlantic Federalist Society and others, is kind of astounding, actually, because even the court went against them.
I didn't really see people predicting the Supreme Court would actually uphold it.
Oh, I saw several.
Very possible. Right. I didn't see that. But what I saw more is people basically making the case that they should uphold it.
No,
which is different.
I agree with you. 100%.
Right, versus a prediction of what's actually going to happen. I mean, that's my position. I think they should have upheld it, but I was under no illusion whatsoever that would happen. But you know, what I take, so first of all, let me comment on the specifics of their comments. It's interesting, Whoopi says, listen, that's probably the right decision. Then she goes on to make some point about the states and the Congress that I didn't really get. But, and then you had Ana Navarro make a point, which is partially accurate, that I do think it's true. Trump gets away with things that literally no other politician, including Joe Biden, would. Absolutely. I mean, she is right that, listen, Joe Biden has faced his own credible allegations of sexual assault that should have been taken a lot more seriously at the time, and should continue to be taken a lot more seriously. But if he was actually found liable for sexual assault, even in a civil case, that would be a huge deal. We would never hear the end of it. It probably would be a deal breaker for him and most other politicians. I mean, you kind of see this right now with Robert Menendez and these corruption charges, which look very real. And by the way, you know, one of the guys who's accused of basically bribing him has already pled guilty, so the writing is on the wall there. But you know, he wasn't able to survive that, not even close. Even after being this New Jersey fixture for so long, he immediately plummeted to like 3% in the polls once these details emerged. So it is just true that Trump, for whatever reason, you know, his charisma, his big personality, his showmanship, whatever it is, he gets away with stuff that other politicians don't. And it's not just Trump. I mean, you know, Bill Clinton, it's the same thing. Like, he had this political talent that enabled him to get away with things that other politicians wouldn't be able to get away with. And Joe Biden does not have that political skill, especially not at this point in his life. So what I sensed in this clip and in the next one we're going to show is a healthy beginning of acceptance that the legal system is not going to save the Democrats.
Yes.
And I actually think like that needs to be the assumption. There's been a lot of wish casting around these polls that show, oh, well, you know, if he's found guilty of this or if he's found guilty of that, then this many voters would flip to Joe Biden. They've really been betting on that. But between this SCOTUS ruling and the pushback of the January 6th trial because of the Supreme Court deciding they're going to take up these immunity claims, the Georgia case getting pushed back, the Florida case getting pushed back by the judge there, there's beginning to creep in and awareness and an understanding that they're going to have to win this election on their own terms. The legal system is not going to save them.
Yeah, Trump really is like the Übermenschen, like the Nietzschean Übermensch, like who's immune to the laws of God and of man. And I mean, look, you could take that whichever way you want.
Yeah.
It's been deciphered ever since Nietzsche wrote about it. But my point, I think that the point that you're making about the legal system is one that is beginning to really, to hit home as well. We actually saw some of this on CNN with Larry Sabato, the pollster. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Ginning up this insurrectionist-like rhetoric.
Of course he does. He'll never change because it's worked for him, and it may work again. You know, in the end, Jim, you can't save a people from themselves. If they're determined to reelect him after he organized that insurrection, arguably our first coup d'etat, then there's nothing to stop the people from doing that. Now, in particular, the legal system may intervene, but I doubt it. He'll probably, he's certainly going to be on the ballot. He's certainly going to be the Republican nominee. We'll know that for sure tomorrow if we don't already know it. And that's the way it is.
There you go, Krystal. That's where I think that is exactly the way that a lot of people are internalizing it. Because I do think there has been quite a bit of cope and false hope and other things where people genuinely did believe that the legal system was going to save them. Keith Olbermann apparently being one of them. Let's put this up there just because it's funny. Can't help but take a look at what Keith has to say. He says, the Supreme Court has betrayed democracy. Its members, including Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor, have proved themselves inept at reading comprehension. Collectively, the court, in quotes, has shown itself to be corrupt and illegitimate. It must be dissolved. It's funny because there are two sides of the coin here. I think that the Larry Sabato one is the realm of what you continue to highlight, is this is it now. You're playing in the system. You have to beat him. You actually have to try. And all the side plots in the world, they're not going to save you in a way that I think many people have come to believe actually the courts or any of these other systems would do the job for them as opposed to the campaign that now must be undertaken.
Yeah, well, especially, listen, I think Biden world continues to be extremely delusional that just, you know, running against Trump is going to be enough for them to secure victory, so let's put that aside. But the sort of like liberal commentariat right now is, because they've experienced a few blows in a row, are, I think, starting to grapple with that fact. Now, that may not be a permanent state of affairs because we do have that New York criminal trial. The sort of stepchild charge is beginning here. No offense to stepchildren, by the way. I don't know if I'm going to get like canceled for that. How does that? You're not supposed to say that anymore.
If
Anyway,
you ever want to enter the Mamala debate about Kamala, whatever. This is a whole other.
Well, I saw there was a whole piece in the New York Times about the toxic nature of the boy mom phenomenon. So that's another. A bunch of moms like get really into being quote unquote boy moms. And this one mom apparently who has a boy and a girl posted something that seemed to indicate that she was more into her son than in her daughter. It sparked this whole mom war situation.
Good. I support that mom war.
Anyway.
Moms, get off social media. Stop making a mom being your whole identity. That's a whole.
I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Anyway, with regards to this, I think that we may see the resurgence of some hope that the legal system is going to save them once that criminal trial in New York starts, because you know, they just can't help themselves. Maybe and there's no faith that the Biden administration, the Biden campaign is actually up to defeating this man. So they gotta hang their hat on something, and I guess that's all they got. Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.